Hi, my name is Roni Kontur. I'm teaching project management class, and today I'm going to explain to you one topic in project management that is very important. The topic is about reducing project duration. So we are going to talk about how to reduce the duration of a project. The question is why we have to reduce the duration. There are several reasons why we have to reduce the duration. First, is required by management. Management wants that the project finish in a shorter time. Second, it might be we make a wrong estimation. Let's say we estimate 25 days. Along the way, it is discovered that it has to be reduced. Then we have to do a project duration. When we talk about project durations, we have to see there are three factors that affect it. First, it is about time, and second, it's about performance, and third, it is about cost. So, if we want to shorten the time, let's say, it may affect the performance and cost. For example, if the time to complete the project is 25 days, and we want to reduce it into 20 days, then we have to sacrifice either performance or cost. So probably the performance of the result of that project will be reduced, or there will be additional costs. So there will be a sacrifices. And there is, you have to see the project priority matrix. In that matrix, it will show the constraint, enhance, and the accept. What do we mean by constraint? Constraint is the things that we cannot reduce anymore. Let's say in this example, the constraint is performance. It means that the quality of the output of the project will not be sacrificed. We have to maintain the quality. And second, after constraint is enhance. Enhance means we can reduce the time. But when we reduce the time and maintain the performance, then we have to accept the cost, meaning there will be additional cost to that, so that we can get the right performance and reducing the time. Okay, thank you. Okay, let me give you an example. If you see in this drawing, in this picture, this is a drawing of a project. This project has about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 activities. Activities A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay. Activity A requires 3 days to complete. Activity B requires 6 days to complete. Activity C, 10 days, D, 11 days, E, 8 days, F, 5 days, and G, 6 days. And it's required total of 25 days to complete. How do we know the 25 days? See this bold arrow there? That is what we call critical path. That is the longest path to complete this project. We start 3 days in A, 11 days in D, total it becomes 14 days, and then 5 days in F, that will become 19, and 6 days in G. So it's required 25 days to complete this project. Now, in order to get the right performance and the cost that has been agreed, it's need to complete in 25 days. However, if management require that this project should be faster than 25 days, then we have to sacrifice either performance, quality of the project, or the cost. In this case, we decided not to sacrifice performance. So what we are going to sacrifice is cost. So there will be additional cost to reduce the time of this project. And we will see later on how to reduce the time of this project while we have to sacrificing the cost. Okay, the first step in reducing the time to complete the project is to compute the slope. What do we mean by slope? You see the formula there is that slope is equal to rise over run. What do we mean by rise? Rise is equal to the crash cost minus normal cost, while run is equal to normal time minus crash time. So slope is actually the difference between crash cost and normal cost divided by the difference between normal time and crash time. If you see in that picture, the normal point, in that normal point, the time is 10 while the cost is 400. And that is the normal point. So the normal point in completing the project, the time is, this is an example, the time is 10 and then the cost is 400. Crash, time becomes 5 and cost will increase to 18. Cost will increase to 800. Okay. So slope will be equal to 800 minus 400, which is 400, divided by 10 minus 5, which is 5. So 400 divided by 5 will equal to 80. 80. So the slope will be 80. Okay. Now let me show you how to compute the slope. Please look at the table. If you see in the table, the activity A require normal 3 days to complete with the cost of 50. However, we can crush it, reduce the time to 2, but the cost will increase to 70. So go back to the crash time. So maximum crash time is only 1 day. It means that activity A can be reduced only by 1 day. So how much will be the slope, or how many is the slope? The slope will be 70 minus 50, which is 20, divided by 3 minus 1, which is 1. So 20 over 1 is equal to 20. So the activity A will have a slope of 20. You can see in the next table, activity A, the slope is 20. Look at activity B. Activity B, the slope is 40. Where do you get the 40? The 40 is derived from 160 crash cost minus normal cost 80, which is equal to 80, divided by 6 minus 4, which is divided by 2. So 80 divided by 2 will equal to 40. Okay. Next step after computing the slope is to pay attention to the critical path and look for the critical path. Choose the activity that has the smallest slope. In our example, the critical path is activity A, D, F, and G. So each of these activity has their own slope. Let's go back to the table before. If you notice the slope A, let's see the path analysis is A, D, F, and G. So A, D, F, and G. Out of these four activities, the smallest slope is G, which is 0. But since it is 0, we will not use it. Since it is 0, so we go to the next smallest after 0. The next smallest after 0 is A, which is 20. So we select A. Let's reduce the activity A by 1 day. Okay, if we reduce the activity A by 1, then the time from 25 days will become 24 days. But the cost will increase from 450, we increase by 20 because the slope is 20. So it will increase by 20. So 450 will become 470. And you notice the second picture, the A will become 2. And the time become 24. And the total cost become 470. Notice the 2 we put X signs there. It means A cannot be reduced anymore. Notice also activity G. There is X there. It means activity G cannot be reduced because the crest time of activity G is 0. So there is no way to reduce the activity G. So in this critical path, we have reduced A into 2 days, while G we cannot reduce anymore. Okay. Next, after reducing activity A, let's see in the path, in the critical path, which activity has the lowest slope after A. If you see in the table before, after A, which is 20, the next smallest is D, which is 25. Okay. So now we are going to reduce D by 1 day. We have to reduce it by 1. We cannot reduce 2 or 3. Always 1 by 1. So D we will reduce into 10 days, from 11 to 10. Okay, so now we are going to reduce the D from 11 to 10. When D becomes 10, then the time becomes 23 days. Total cost, because the slope of D is 25, then the total cost becomes more expensive. From 470 become 495 because there is additional $25. So by reducing D from 11 to 10, cost will increase from 470 to 495, increase by 25. Okay, next. Okay, next. After reducing activity D, now we reduce the activity F. That is from 5 days reduced by 1 to equal to 4. However, you notice that when activity D becomes 10, the critical path at, so there is additional critical path. See the next picture. All paths become critical when D equal to 10. All paths become critical. So because of that, when we see all the critical path, the smallest slope is f. So let's reduce f by 1. From 5 become 4. When we reduce f by 1, then there will be additional cost of 30 because the slope of f is 30. So the 495, we add 30, it's become 525. So the total cost increased to 525 while the time reduced to 22. That is when we reduce the activity F. Now, activity F cannot be reduced anymore, so we put X there. X means we cannot reduce anymore. Next that we have to reduce is activity D, C, and E. The question is why we have to reduce the three activities, which is D, C, and E, because these three activities has the same slope, which is 30. Because they have the same slope, so all of them will be reduced by 1 each. So notice that activity D is 10, C is 10, E is 8. When we reduce by 1, E will become 7, E will become 7, C will become 9, and D will become 9. See the next drawing. There you see that D become 9, C become 9, and E become 7. And C we cannot reduce anymore, so C, put X on C. So when we reduce the E by 1, C by 1, D by 1, the critical part will be reducing. Okay, so the critical part now is A, C, F, and G, which is total days is 21 days. But the cost increased to 610. Where do you get the 610? That is the summation of C, D, and E. Add them together and add from the previous cost. The total will become 610. So now look at the last table in this presentation, which is the summary cost by duration. Notice in that table, when we reduce the project from 25 days to 24 days, the direct cost increased from 450 to 470, while the indirect cost will decrease from 400 to 350. So the total cost will be the direct cost plus the indirect cost. In the project duration of 25 days, the total cost is 850. Where we get this 850? That is the direct cost plus the indirect cost. When we reduce the duration to 24 days, the total cost will become 820. See that the total cost keep on reducing. Why? Because the indirect cost is reducing. So in any project, there is always direct cost and indirect cost. And when we reduce the time, the direct cost will increase, but the indirect cost will decrease. Why? The indirect cost decrease because the time is lessened. Okay. And if you notice that the total cost will decrease and keep on decrease until the lowest total cost, then it will increase. So what we get is the lowest total cost, which is 775. When we get the 775, so the time of the project become 22. So before, the project is 25 days with the total cost of 850. Now the project, we can reduce the project to 22 days with a total cost of 775. So in summary, that just remember, if we are going to reduce the duration of a project, we will sacrifice the cost. especially the direct cost. When we reduce the time, the direct cost will increase. However, the indirect cost will decrease. So we have to choose which days that give the least total cost. In this case, the least, we can reduce the project up to 21 days, but with 21 days, the total cost will be higher if it is 22 days. So we can reduce the cost to 22 days, and the total cost, the least total cost that we can get is 775. So for those who are going to reduce the project duration, just remember, reducing the time, we have to consider also the cost. Thank you, and see you in next topic.